Hey guys, Marsing here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to do the team building guide for the INT Blue Evolution Vegeta EZA that is going to be dropping on Global later tonight. Well, technically it's tomorrow morning for me in the UK. If you're in the US, it's very late in the evening on Tuesday or in the very small hours of the morning on Wednesday. Basically, this video is going up at 10 PM UK time, 3 hours after the Goku one. It means the event will be out in 9.5 hours from now. If you are watching this as soon as the video has gone up, if you got the notification, we will be live half an hour before, setting up, getting ready, doing the EZAs live on stream when they drop, and then showcasing the characters and testing them out a little bit. So hopefully I will see you guys there. But we will be doing the team building guide here today. It is an LR EZA, so of course there are 10 stages. You get 3 stones for beating each stage, and then there is a mission for beating stage 7. Which gives you 3 stones, so you get 33 stones in total. And then you also will get all the medals you need to EZA Vegeta fully, 5 INT Kais, so you can get them straight up to SA25, and then you get some INT Orbs as well to add to the collection. Obviously these guys were on the banner for Beast Gohan, so some people out there potentially have got these guys now after maybe not having them before, or have got dupes into them now, or even Rainbow. So having those extra orbs definitely nice if you are still doing some summoning on the Beast banner. And you don't have these guys fully rainbowed. So for an LR EZA, as we talked about in the Goku one, right, legendary power link active gives you extra attack power, and then the special category, which is final trump card for this one, is the defensive category. So characters in the final trump card category take less damage. Any characters not in the final trump card category take more damage. So even LRs who would usually be quite tanky in events can end up taking quite a lot of damage in the later stages of these EZAs if they're not the right category. However, legendary power is all that's required for the damage and not final trump card. So technically you can get away with using non-final trump card LRs. You just ideally want to make sure that they don't get hit, and then you don't run the risk of dying in the later stages. However, final trump card is a pretty nutty category. There are a lot of really strong LRs on this team. Most of the units in the top picks and honorable mentions are going to be LRs, with a few honorable mentions for TURs at the end. So final trump card, like I said, pretty big category, especially when it comes to some of these big ticket units. As always with the team building guides, as I mentioned, we will be showing my top picks and honorable mentions. If there are any characters you think I missed out or should have talked more about, why they would be good in the event or on the team, do let me know down below in the comment section. Hit that like button if you find the video useful at all, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So jumping straight in off the bat, we do have the 8-year LR Buu duo. They lead final trump card, and then of course give Connected Hope or Majin Buu Saga an extra 30% for the full 200. These guys are a good option for the team because they are physical, so of course they have type advantage over the Vegeta. They are greatly raising their defense on the 18 key normal raise on the 12, which is an infinite stack. Obviously EZA battles are not particularly long. Usually turn 4 is kind of the furthest you'll end up getting to, if you even get to that point. So these guys aren't going to get a lot of opportunity to stack. Their standby, for example, can only be used on turn 4 if they've performed 4 or more attacks, or you can get it when they're at 50% or less HP. So if you are struggling in the later stages and you maybe take a lot of damage in turn 1 and these guys come in on turn 2, they can go straight into their standby and be a very strong defensive unit. But for the most part, they'll be good for the leader, and then you can just have them as a slot 2 or slot 3 unit, and they'll be able to do a lot of damage in this event, especially as we've said with that legendary power link active. So these guys are a solid option. Then we have the Tech Vegito and of course the STR Gogeta. Both of these guys lead final trump card, and then either Fusion or Potara. These guys still very good after their EZA, especially for content like this, which isn't the hardest content in the game. You can go for the good old strategy of, if they're on the first turn, you just put them in slot 3, they get dodge chance, they'll do a bit of damage, and then if you do get to turn 4, they'll return, immediately transform into blue, and of course have a 100% chance to dodge, and then you're probably going to end up finishing off the fight right there. So both of these guys definitely very useful on the team, and definitely could be used as the leader with the 170 lead for the entire category. We also have the Blue Boys from the Worldwide Celebration. Of course, these guys were on the banners as well for the anniversary. Now, these guys don't have a Final Trump Card leader skill, but they are on Final Trump Card, and they lead Battle of Fate, Future Saga, Power Beyond Super Saiyan, and then of course they technically also lead all superclass characters. So it's very easy to make a lead with them. And then we have things like this Realm of Gods and Time Travelers are there plus 30%. So for example, like the two 5-year L EZAs that we just mentioned, the Vegeta and Gogeta, they would be on there for full 200% leader skill. These guys can be pretty decent in slot 1 defensively. They don't do a lot of damage, but they can tank relatively well or dodge in these slightly easier events in slot 1. It's very unlikely that you would get to turn 5 in order to use the Vegeta Fusion, so these guys are probably going to be stuck in their base form, which means they're not that great, but they do have a very good leader skill, which I think you could definitely put to good use, especially depending on the units that you're using. Better to get a 170, the lead, where you can actually get a decent number of characters on the full 200, rather than running a character like this where just everyone on the team is getting 170, right? So definitely worth considering. Then we do have some of the sub-LR EZAs, like this guy, the INT Goku, who we all refer to as Triku. He leads Final Trump Card 4 key and 150% to stats. He does have greatly raised attack and defense on his 18 key, which is an AoE, but that doesn't really matter for this event, obviously. This guy doesn't really do a crazy amount other than just like one big ultra attack stat attack, but that's really all he's there for. He's got no like built-in crits or additionals. He has a final blow mechanic, which is of course not useful here at all. I mean, this guy, he's like a last resort leader, and potentially if you have the other better characters, I'm not sure if he even quite makes the honorable mentions list for actual team building. He's more so here an honorable mention for the leader skill if you don't have any of the other options. We also have units like this STR Kaioken Goku, who leads Final Trump Card for 4 key 150. He can do a pretty decent amount of damage. We are fighting a Vegeta, so he does get his entrance buff, which gives him extra key and attack power for the rest of the battle. He has a high chance to crit built in. He gets a lot of extra attack power as he does his attacks, especially including the Ultra Super. And then if you are struggling a bit in the later stages, taking some hits, he has the active skill, which can be activated at 59% or less HP, which just does a whole bunch of damage, and there's no turn restriction. So in the earlier stages as well, even if you are finding it a bit more difficult, this active skill could come in clutch for just finishing off the phase. So Kaioken Goku could be a decent unit, stand-in leader, or an honorable mention for being a character on the team. Next up, we have the Gogeta, of course, from the Part 1 banners. His leader skill, Movie Heroes, you can make a full movies team that is Final Trump Card, but you don't get access to some of the units that we've mentioned. So this guy more so is a unit that you just want to run on the team, but he definitely is a top pick for the team. He has type advantage, very strong defensively. Same with like the 5-year fusions. You can float him off on turn 1 and then transform him into blue on turn 4 if you want to. Chances are you're not then getting to turn 6 to use his target ability, but he still can be very good in dealing a significant amount of damage. So Gogeta, certainly a very good option. And then if you do get blue Gogeta out, of course, 70% chance to dodge, tons of damage, can negate Ki Blast super attacks. So very, very good. Then we have the physical LR Super Saiyan 4s from the 7th anniversary. These guys definitely have dropped off in terms of the more difficult content, but when it comes to something like this, they've got type advantage. If you're getting 20 key, they're getting the guaranteed double super. They could obviously get one from the hidden potential as well. And then on turn 4, they're able to fuse into Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. And then not only can they do a lot of damage, but they have a 50% chance to counter enemy super attacks. So that can certainly be very useful as well. So these guys, even though they don't see a lot of play anymore in tough events, definitely could be very, very good here. So then we have the STR Goku and Vegeta that fuse into Vegeto. These guys will certainly be very good. They stack defense, they can get tons of additional super attacks. And then of course, if you are taking a bit of damage along the way, these guys starting from turn 4 can fuse into Vegeta when you're at 77% or less HP, which gives you a full heal and then obviously activates the Scouter effect. Now, I mean, as we've said, EZA battles don't run super long. So if you do get this guy to fuse on turn 4, you're probably then just winning that turn, right? Because you put Vegito where the super attack isn't, and by the time you're at turn 4, he's probably just killing them off with counter attacks, right? So he certainly is a very, very good unit to bring on the team. Then we have the other 8-year LR, the GT Duo. And these guys, you could use their leader skill as well. Power of Wishes or Battle of Fate has a lot of crossover with Final Trump Card. And then, of course, Final Trump Card is the plus 30. So, obviously, you know there's crossover there because it's part of the putting the pieces together for a 200% lead. So you can run quite a few of the characters that we've mentioned here already. And then these guys are really, really good. Each super attack builds up damage reduction up to 50%, as well as each attack they're doing within the turn. They're obviously raising defense for the turn. Then if you're able to get their standby on turn 4 or when at 50% and less HP, they exchange into the GT Vegeta, who gives everybody on the rotation a massive attack buff and then gives you the revival so that you are essentially invincible on that turn. So these guys are still very, very good. Then we have the AGL Kai Goku, Turtle School 3 key, HP, attack and defense 200%. So if you want to run a team that is basically just all final trump card Goku characters, they would all fit under this guy's leader skill. I don't know why the arts haven't loaded for a couple of these characters, but AGL Kai Goku definitely can be very good. He has guard, he builds up while getting hit, can nullify Ki Blast super attacks, so he certainly can be a very, very good unit on the team as well. So then last but not least, we have a couple of TUR honourable mentions. We have the physical Android 17. He provides defense to all allies as well as Ki, has a little bit of damage reduction, and then if you are starting the turn on a little bit lower HP, only 77% or less, which is not a super difficult, thing to get to. He has extra damage reduction and gives allies extra defense, so he can be nice as a floating unit, just defensively buffing and Ki buffing these rotations of powerful LRs. Then we have the STR Kefla EZA. Now, even though she's not an LR, she obviously can do multiple super attacks. She starts hitting really high attack stats even early on in these events. So despite not being an LR, she has the potential to do quite a bit of damage as well. So she certainly can be solid. She can be a dodge or die character in tougher events, but because she's on the category, unless she's getting hit by like a super in the later stages, she should still be able to tank pretty well. And then also, last but not least, shout out to this guy. He kind of become a bit of a meme these days, but Physical Super Vegito. I mentioned him because he's got type advantage, so obviously throwing him in front of a bunch of attacks and getting off a bunch of counters, while he doesn't do crazy damage, it's all free damage at the end of the day. So if you're missing the 6th and final character to put on the team, you could throw this guy on, use him as a floater, and then just get some free counter damage. But ideally, you are going to be wanting to run mostly LRs. So if we go back to Final Trump Card, I forgot to open up the page for Dragon Fist Goku, because Dragon Fist Goku is a TUR, but he is a Final Trump Card lead. And he gives the extra 30% to Super Saiyan 3 or Kamehameha. So in terms of the full 200% coverage, there's a lot of characters we mentioned who are on the Kamehameha category. And then this guy, of course, has a 70% chance to dodge in slot 2 or 3. So if you're running him as the leader, you probably just want to be floating him in slot 3. Let the LRs do their thing as the slot 1 and 2 characters. But then he has a 70% chance to dodge. And then if you're at 70% or less HP from turn 3, he can go into the standby to use the Dragon Fist. Otherwise, it's on turn 6. But Dragon Fist obviously can come in clutch. You get a scouter on that turn where you use it. So ideally you then just put him in front of the super, counter it, take a bunch of damage. The only downside, of course, is if you're running Super Saiyan 3 Goku and then a bunch of LRs, and you put him into the Dragon Fist standby, and then the scouter shows you the super attack is in the middle, then obviously to put Goku there to get the Dragon Fist, you'd have to break up the LRs, therefore no legendary power. So you're doing less damage overall on that turn, which is unfortunate, but obviously something to think about if you want to use the Goku. So in terms of anyone else that we could have mentioned, I didn't really mention any of the extreme characters because they don't fit under, or they don't fit with a lot of the Saiyan units. But I guess obviously characters who are Saiyans, like Great Ape Vegeta, Majin Vegeta, they could fit into the team, but they're older, sort of weaker units. Baby does get a buff against pure Saiyans. Bootanks, of course, is type advantage, so he could be interesting on the team, I guess, potentially. And then when it comes to the TURs, I didn't really mention any tech units when it comes to LRs, apart from Vegito because of his leader skill. So I didn't really mention the gods, although their leader skill could be pretty good as well. But we're not really going to mention any tech units just because of type disadvantage. I mean, Super EZA, Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks could be pretty good, but ideally you are going to want him to be dodging most of the time anyway. So when it comes to INT TURs, I mean, we mentioned Kefla. Her and Gotenks are on kind of similar levels of power. So Gotenks could be pretty good. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta could potentially still be pretty good, especially if you're running the physical LR Super Saiyan 4s and you want some other Super Saiyan 4 links to get active, like Saiyan Raw especially. He could still be relatively decent. I mean, Limit Breaker Vegito and the physical Super Saiyan 4 Vegito are on this team, or on this category, but then they don't have a lot of other crossover or heroes allies to be run with in order to get the rest of their passive, which is unfortunate. Of course, God Chow Man is on there. Turles, some of these other Boo characters. Like, you could make a full Extreme team, but the LRs, there's not as much to choose from. Obviously, no Cell Max on Global. So you really want to stick with the super class, mostly Saiyans and Fusions build. So there you go. That is going to be it for the guide. Those are the top picks and honorable mentions. As I said at the beginning, if there's any units you think I missed out or should have talked more about, do let me know down below in the comment section. And then, of course, most importantly, let me know down in the comments, what is your team build going to look like for the Blue Evolution Vegeta Extreme Z battle. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out all the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.